Welcome back to MPB's boot camp for the math portion of the ACT. I am Miss Killen here to make sure that you get the best possible score that you can. We are in lesson 19 and we are promoting quality learning practices. There's that word again. Remember, the more we practice, the more that we look at different ways to work and practice that, the better that we are to take this test. So let's go ahead and dive into some information that we get. So we can look at graphic organizers. We have making lists and drawing pictures and diagrams, the Venn diagram, making a template, maybe a chart or a table. All of these different types of graphic organizers can help us even in our math test. So let's go ahead and use some of these in different problems that we've got. So the first one is we are looking at tossing coins. So let's read it. At the school carnival, Mike will play a game in which he will toss a penny, a nickel, and a dime. So that's important. A penny, a nickel, and a dime. All right, so he's going to toss the penny, nickel, and dime at the same time. He will be rewarded 3 points for every coin that lands on heads or face up. Let the random variable x represent the total number of the points allowed or awarded on any toss of the coin. What is the expected value of x? Now, there's loads of ways that we could do this. We can do different formulas and we can look at this and that, but to me, the easiest way is to just show what the tosses are. So, I have 3 coins. I can get a head, and a head. I can get a head, and a tail. I can get a head, a tail, and a head. Or I can get a tail, a head, and a head. Now, I can also look at a tail, and a tail, a tail, a head, and a tail, a tail, and a head. 1, 2, 3, and head. Oh, and then I can do a head, a tail, and a tail. So you've got to make sure that you have all of your possible answers. Heads and tails, heads and tails, heads and tails. Yes. So I have 8 possible choices to look at. And this is how all 3 of those coins will be thrown. So what I need to do is now award my points for every head that I get or face up. 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 3, 6, 0, 3, and 6. So I'm going to add all these up and see what my total possible answer is going to be. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to add these up, and then I'm going to divide by 8 because there's 8 possible scenarios of how I can throw these 3 different coins. So when I add these numbers up and divide by 8, I am going to get 4.5. Now, obviously my answer choice is I don't have 4.5, but I do have fractions. So I can plug these fractions into my calculator and see which of them equals that 4.5. So go ahead and do that now. Let's see what we got. Exactly. 9 over 2 equals 4.5. So this is yet another tool that we can put in our toolbox to use in answering these different types of problems. This is more of an essential skills. So using this chart or making this table or list will definitely help us answer this question. So let's go ahead and look at this next question while I erase my board. So it says license plates on cars in a specific state contains 3 letters and 3 numbers. The letters are A through Z, and then there's 10 digits that can possibly be had, 0 to 9. Now, Ms. Killen, 1 through 9 is only 9. True, but we have to take in consideration that we can use 0 as one of those possible numbers. All right, so then it says, which of the following expressions gives the number of distinct license plates that are possible, given that the repetition of both letters and numbers are allowed? So we've got to think about repetition. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this template. So I have possibly 3 letters and 3 numbers. 3 letters and 3 numbers. All right, now, what are all my possibles of my letters? There's possible 26 here, 26 here, 26 here. Now, what about my numbers? 10 numbers here, possible 10 numbers there, 10 numbers there. So how could I see this? There are 3 options that can have 23. So 23 Q. And there's also 3 options to have that 10, so I have 10 to the third. So I can rearrange these any way that I like, but as long as I can put them and multiply them together, that's how I can find out my possible distinct allowance of these 26 letters here, 26 letters here, 26 letters here, 10, 10, and 10. So if I take what I've got, 26 to the third power, 10 to the third power, and multiply them, then I can get my answer. So what does this look like? Obviously, my answer would be A. So this is yet another way of using a template to show how we can answer these possible questions with different types of graphic organizers. So let's look at the next one. All right, Jennifer's best long jump distance increased by 10% from 1990 to 1991 and by 20% from 1991 to 1992. By what percentage did her best jump distance increase from 90 to 92? All right, so the best possible way for me to do this is for me to look at these percentages when I'm not given a value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at 90, 91, and 92. So here's my year. Then I'm going to use how much we started with. And an easy number for me to work with is 100. So I'm going to put starting amount. And 100 is so easy for me to use, all right? So the next one I'm going to use is how much did we change? And the last I want to know is my final amount. All right, so this is how I'm going to work this. Now I'm going to turn the lights down on me so you can really see my board. So I've got my final amount. All right, so here we go. So in 1990, we had 100. And in 90, it never changed, so we ended up with 100. Now, between 90 and 91, we changed 10%. Okay, so that means at the end of 91, well, I started with what? 100. I'm adding 10% to that 100, which 10% of 100 is 10. So my ending is going to be 110. So then it says from 91 to 92, she increased 20%. So in 92, she started with 110. She's adding 20%, which is the same thing as adding what? Do that. 20% of 110 is 22. So then 110 plus 22, she's going to end up with 132. So since we started with 100% change, we're simplifying this as the new minus the old. So we've got the new minus the old, which is 32, which we can turn into 32%. So I increased by 32%. So obviously my answer is J. This is how we can use a chart. This is how we can see different categories and organize them so we can see, we can go from one year to the next year to the next, answering the different questions. So this is how this change is seen from 91 with percentages and 91 and 92 and ending with that 92 of 132. So one more thing that we need to make sure that we are practicing is using our graphic organizers, looking at how we can put categories or how we can use templates or how we can look and divide things up to see how they're presented, because we always want to make sure that no matter, at the end of the day, we are doing the best we can by practicing, because there's a lot of content, but there's only 50 minutes for 45 questions. So as always, we are practicing, and I am Ms. Killen, and I want you to have a great day.